Hi, thank you for having us, to Susan and J and B. It's really nice to be back. Tonight we're going to be reading from a larger project entitled Eternal Apprentice.
This is dedicated to Daniel Owen. And thanks, Susan. Up next, matters of taste, judgment, how to know the proper way to proceed, what are the guiding criteria, the apprentice as one who acts and must make such choices without the benefit of mastery, the concept of mastery.
These delicacies are somehow obscured by the act of reading. Example, the illusion of continuity from one sentence to the next. Just now, though I had no intention of pausing, I received a phone call from a robocaller. Afterward, I resumed writing, picking up the same idea, but somehow the phone call clung to it. This germination of the intended progression with outside stimuli occurs constantly in the writing and thinking of writing. Is this intended progression nothing but an agglomeration of intrusions?
Of what is this progression made?
Another ingredient.
Agreeing to work for a fixed amount of time, the apprentice begins.
There's a blank around the word.
Michael.
You're probably in our database.
A reel is an object around which other materials are wrapped. In keeping wrapping, one can enter a trance. The database is the root.
A living document, pulled by some force. The apprenticeship. The living document is saved each time an edit is made.
Stack of drawers adjacent to the stack of Post-its.
Apprenticeship.
And so eternally begins a list of tasks.
The delete symbol, caret, insert, em dash, ampersand, asterisk, apprentice.
The fixed point inside, it's just a thing. The fixed point might be the stack of drawers or Post-its. If the fixed point is moving, what then?
A nonlinear time system, but back to zero. It's repellent and attractive. It's among charts. Computing with the calculator beside the stack of neon pink Post-it notes. A graph might complicate things at first. To get to the center of the apprenticeship.
Talk about watercraft, see the following value systems in figuring the connotation of apprehend, appetizer, apprentice, app.
The delete symbol comes again to mind. Can the fixed point at the center be a symbol that adds to the whole while signaling removal? Yes. Drawers and pointing to adhesive notes.
The question of use and outcome pertains both to systems of pleasure and systems of learning.
What do we work with?
We enact words, we enact upon our words.
The tree branch had been much better off before I tore it apart.
In its acquiring, no expenses spared.
You wanted to know about being an apprentice.
Bruce Nauman filmed his studio at night, empty, 5+ hours. It's dark, infrared light, and we're not supposed to be there. The occasional movement, mostly nothing.
What precedes it? The apprenticeship. To learn by doing also beckons questions about the underside of that. What's underneath the apprenticeship?
The site of an eternal performance.
There's a clipboard. I've always wanted to film myself sleeping. In the background, a woman speaks French. In the foreground, there is a film. It's a bit washed out. There is humor. It is moving, and there is no end in sight. Or if there is an end in sight, it is a horizon line receding as we get closer.
What are we doing?
The most important thing is not duration. The most important thing is not skill. The most important thing is not the pleasant sound of apprenticeship, the word.
I'm profoundly grateful for everything in my life, but at the same time, in a sour mood.
The woman is speaking French outside the apprenticeship.
In Bruce Nauman's studio, a mouse hurries across the space towards something uncertain. Untitled. The most important thing about it is that we aren't supposed to be there. The voyeurism is joyful. Who bears witness?
Emily, we've just had a long meeting.
We discussed aspects of work.
We both joined.
I see a rather orderly progression of invoices, statements, supplies needed, asked for, ordered.
The whole point of an apprenticeship is that eventually it will end.
I cannot tell who's more free. Internalization of a system. The apprentice labors under attempts to understand the rules. The master, having internalized the system, can use it as a tool for the creation of work.
However, in a sense, the apprentice, not having internalized the system of rules, cannot rely on that system when making decisions, and therefore must rely on a degree of intuition.
2:11 a.m. for 3 nights, 2:11, 2:11, 4:12 a.m., 7:30 something, 8:22 a.m.
I'd like to say to you,
the master, we can suppose, was an apprentice and is no longer. The master's early figurings become the framework under which the apprentice now conducts her own. The master's hunches have been externalized as standards. The apprentice gets free when the master's knowledge is not internalized but immortalized. The rules are written down and made clear. The apprentice may follow them seamlessly, moving from task to task, eventually shimmying out from under that recorded knowledge to make another set of standards.
the apprentice hovers between. This is productive, necessary.
Michael,
Does this take away from the writing and publishing?
let's just never come back. We are going to make a salad and come back and have a gathering of apprentices.
Our task as apprentices is to edit.
Other things, Western ideas of mastery, schooling, hierarchy, eternal apprentice as life path, the between as path, decision-making, a person who doesn't know what he wants is dangerous. Did I make that up? Getting knowledge on paper.
The creation of systems, the haphazard, terrifying nature of systems generation, and how the creative arrives improbably in the middle of the operation.
How the creative arrives improbably in the middle of the operation. It reframes the desk.
Email chain.
The materials of the mind and obligation.
E.
M.
E and M.
M.
E.
M and E.
Mandy.
I was walking in a quiet exultation of confusion between foreground and background.
Lists of what each manager does and meetings about the lists. This is an important early step in organization. Sometimes these early clarifications and boundaries melt into a quiet exaltation of confusion between foreground and background, so that the work becomes creative act of individual and collective collaboration.
M.
Cage's claim, one should never be between projects, but always working on multiple things at different stages. But how can the EA envelop work, the day-to-day office tasks, emails, set into a creative project?
Cunningham. The common denominator between the two arts was time, and he had devised a form called rhythmic structure within which we worked.
Cage. The structure points in a way have disappeared, or in a way it's like instead of going from Minneapolis to St. Paul, you go from Minneapolis to the moon.
Cage. We hope that the weather will continue, and we trust that our way of relating music and dance will also continue. It's not starting from an idea, not starting even from an expression of the same feeling, or an exposition of the same idea, but rather being together in the same place, in the same time, and leaving space around each art so that neither art has to glue itself to a particular. There are exceptions, of course.
List the subject lines.
Proposal for new submissions language.
Letterhead.
Reminders.
Publicity meeting.
Dinner.
Growth of nonprofits.
May Ed meeting minutes.
Envelopes for partner bookstore mailing.
Returns FYI.
Managing roles Google Doc.
Book design.
Digital apprentice, plans and questions.
Tomorrow.
Bookstore mailing.
Touching base.
Keep an eye out.
Bookkeeping contract.
A screenshot of an inbox is a grid, flattening an already flat space. The photo is printed out and hung on a wall. A photo is taken of the photo. The email chain rolls on.
Where's the evidence?
Are we better off for these email chains?
How many registers are there?
What is the unit of measure of the eternal apprentice?
Oh, and just now. Oh, wow.
The system is breaking down because I just remembered. What? No, what?
What is published is a reel that we can walk along analog. Editing is the ultimate edge practice.
What is in the box? What is in the box? It's a box of returns.
Packing etiquette.
There's a handwritten note naming the organization from which the box has been sent and which names the organization that the box is being sent to.
It is heavy, but not too heavy for me to not move it. I haven't opened the box yet, and so I don't know the contents. A coworker asks what is in the box. I want to flatten it, and I will, after I've emptied the books and placed them back on the shelves alphabetized. I will flatten the box and lean it against the wall in not yet digital format. A flattening happens across most fields via the internet, the photo. This is addressed in the center of what's flattening, a liminal space where the combination exists between writing and publishing. The organization will archive everything. We know this going in. We are to save all of the emails.
You don't write out the full word, just enough of it to make sense in the context of the rest of the sentence. Sentence being here understood as a length of words spoken by a speaker.
We are writers. What kinds of language should we be using in our professional emails? We have professional email addresses. I wonder about my level of professionalism when writing from and through my professional email address. I do not cook. My kitchen appliances do not heat food because I don't turn them on. I feel a hot sensation shoot from the center of my forehead to my tailbone when I notice the email thread growing. Before email, were we collectively less reactive, slower, our nervous systems steadier?
Lovely jump. The next thought contains a note of defiance. The next sentence is exemplary of this defiance. It is sculpted in a higher register than its compatriots.
And then it jumps again, from the cooking back to the email, but now through the very base of the bowl of the hips, as if goofy email chain has traversed a most sacred part of the body, and so the profane lodges within the self shot through with chips of the profane.
Compromise.
Are we better off for these emails? Were we able to respond efficiently and quickly to problems and queries?
And as I understand it, you see the chain rising up from the ground. That's curious. You see, I conceive of it as sitting on the ground, burying down into the earth.
The professionalization of language splits the self. A transaction is made of communication. We are doing business, training for new positions, planning for land. I am underground now. No one that I'm aware of is staring at me. I'm looking ahead beyond the screen.
This paragraph contains a similarly awesome turn in the third to last sentence. There's a jump from the logic rhetoric of the preceding 5 sentences, 4 of which are about the same thing. The 5th introduces a new level, and then, as if exulting in the fact that other levels are even possible, the 6th or third to last sentence changes the game, taking it in a whole new direction, out into the land.
I'm afraid to admit that I don't know what the numbers correspond to.
You say that the eternal apprentice is moving toward the horizon, not moving vertically. That says something to me about the nature of pursuing a task. Isn't the apprentice trying to get good at one thing? But getting good at one thing takes a lot of little things, and maybe this is what all the emails inside a chain are relative to the larger chain. I mean, we're talking about a whole species here.
When we decide to be in the collective, we agree to read emails.
I'm in my backyard of a Tuesday.
This is a paragraph.
To bring to light, to be listing a concern, bringing up this concern via a personal lens, then there is a jump to another thought, The next sentence is exemplary, and it jumps again.
There's someone staring at me. I'm 70% certain that he just watched me type, there is someone staring at me. I'm looking forward. Peripheral vision works, though. Take professional risks with email.
Okay.
When you talk about my acts of defiance within the paragraph,
What is in the box? What's in the box? It's a box of returns. There is no packing slip. I cannot feel the contents move. We are to save all our emails. The horizontal work of the flat box is recorded and a sound field created. A text comes through. In the field, communication packing tape. The list goes on and keeps flattening and adding data storage. We have what we consider to be a complicated and efficient system of digital file sorting, also physical. Time per week, 15 minutes. What is published goes into the file and enters inky conversation with other files. Others move out into the world to be sorted publicly. There are boxed archives that will move out soon.
1, 1, 1, 6, 5, 4, 4, 5, 3, 2, 0. I'm afraid to admit that I don't know what the numbers correspond to.
I'm underground now. No one that I'm aware of is staring at me. I'm looking ahead, beyond the screen.
The horizon is the imaginary line that the apprentice moves towards. The apprentice is not climbing. The apprentice is looking forward, perhaps just past the screen.
Certain subject lines.
What a tart pudding.
Re,
No subject.
the sea.
The ocean and the brain.
Fry, sat.
Predicting the future.
Schedule for fall. Quick question.
Outside the window, people watch and I circle them, the sea horizontally. I'm afraid to swim under the email thread. My body threads under the email, and as a careful amateur, I begin to arrange.
The master and the apprentice equal each other.
The aura is projected onto the screen. I can see the outline around a body, and a body standing in front of it. I'm thinking of a white screen before anything is projected onto it.
What's the vision for the organization, for individuals within the organization? I know the mission statement, or part of it. When I click on mission, we're sorry, this page could not be displayed.
The sun's out. I search my Emily@uglyducklingpress.org emails for progress, 13.
Communication, 42.
Apprentice, 48.
Efficiency, 9.
Organization, 48.
Vision, 11.
Art, 184 plus.
Poetry, 195 plus.
Are we better off?
Hi. Yes, we've met before. Oh, hello again. Hi. Nice to see you. Again. Yep.
Performing a meeting.
What is the site of Eternal Apprentice? The internet? The screen? The page? The meeting table?
Today's watchwords.
I should mention that by this time I am sitting down.
M.
Emily.
There is no internet underneath the ground, though there are many people on smartphones. They have that smartphone internet. I don't know where it comes from. My laptop doesn't get smartphone internet.
We talk about the amount of meetings that we have between meetings. We've just left a meeting. Let's just never come back. And when we return with our salad gear, we will make a salad, eat a salad, and facilitate a meeting. The table is large and filling up with food as the meeting progresses, and then emptying of food as the meeting progresses even more. The salad is gone, and the rest of the food is almost gone. Some beans, rice, dishes, notes.
Thank you.